Hello, and welcome to the Perfect Franchise Podcast.
I'm Kris, and joining me is my wonderful co-host, Andrea.
In this podcast, we're on a mission to help you discover all that franchising has to offer.
We'll explore expert strategies, interview successful franchise owners, and give you the tools to make informed decisions.
So whether you're considering your options or you're ready to take that plunge, we're here to support you every step of the way.
So let's jump into today's episode.
Hi, and welcome back to the Perfect Franchise Podcast. Today, we have Joe Gulino, Master Franchisee and Brand Manager for Fresh Monkee. Joe, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Joe, thanks so much for coming on. We always sort of like to start out a little bit with, what inspired this brand? So tell us a little bit about the origin story. How was Fresh Monkee created?
It's actually pretty wild. Judy Flynn, obviously, she's our founder. She's in the finance department. She worked, basically finance all her life, and she had some eating disorders, and so did her children. Kind of fast forward that, she had to figure out like how to basically just give her kids and herself like clean food. So she started developing these simple shakes at her house. I think she just had 2 of them, and after about a month, they just started to catch on. Right. So like her kids were coming over, her kids' friends were coming over, her parents were coming over. Next thing you know, her parents are like, you need to open up like a shake shop. And she's like, I'm not leaving the finance market. And she's like, I make plenty of money. Like, no, you don't understand. Like what you do is special. Well, 6 months later, they just kept pushing her a little bit, and they found her a 600 square foot small, tiny spot in Southington, Connecticut. She opened up with a blender, a cooler from Target, one size fits all, 32 ounce with 3 shakes. I'm not sure what they were, what the names were, but I know one of them was like the Dirty Filthy Monkey and the banana split. Anyway, she's like, I'm never going to be able to make this. Ironically, in like 4 days, she had a line out the door and around the store, like it was like the new opening of like a Chipotle or something. And she's like, oh my God, this is like incredible. And she knew nothing about like the Department of Health and how everything works. She just like went for it. That was almost 11 years ago. A couple years later, she opened up another spot. And then in 2018, she opened up 3 more in the same year. So she had five corporate stores. And what she realized was just offering, a shake that's like a macronutrient meal with clean, simple ingredients really worked. But they had to taste really good. And she's very crafty in like the baking and the dietitian type of side of the business. So if you're going to get a chocolate pumpkin or a blueberry pie shake, they literally taste like pumpkin pie or blueberry pie, or like my favorite is the strawberry lemonade.
That's great. How neat.
Help me, because I remember when we talked a few weeks ago, a couple things. Number one, you guys were very convicted. These are shakes, not smoothies, right? So for those of us that aren't in the know, explain why that's so important.
Yeah, it was actually eye-opening for myself as well, because I was a big, fan of like the competitor brands, like a Tropical Smoothie or a Smoothie King, and I thought I was having like a high quality product, but Judy slapped me into reality, and she says, no, the difference between smoothies and shakes are smoothies primarily are high sugary fruit purees or fruits that's in like syrup. Protein is an afterthought. A lot of synthetic ingredients like protein blends and juice blends go into the shakes, and most of them don't have like any fiber involved. So when you have like a competitor's brand, you're typically hungry in 30 minutes to 45 minutes in time. When you have a shake, the shake is actually made up of clean proteins, healthy fats, simple carbohydrates, and fiber. So the 3 sizes that are offered, if you have like a bite size, which is 16 ounce, well, it's going to fill you up for like an hour and 15 minutes, depending on your body weight. But I'm 193 pounds. I have the meal size 32 ounce. I don't eat for 4 hours, but I'm getting a full macronutrient meal like I was going to a Chipotle, except I'm not stuffing myself with 1,500 calories and 1,000 grams of sodium. It's a clean meal that you're getting like 400 calories, 40 grams of protein, 10 grams of fiber, but they taste great. And it's a grab and go, and you're sucking down that shake within 5 to 10 minutes.
So Joe, is it a meal replacement? Is it a snack? Is it just a dessert? Like, what am I considering this?
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's all of the above, and I really learned that being a franchisee myself. People are coming in saying, "I just need something to hold me over till dinner," and it would be like 3:30, and then they would get like the bite size, which is 16 ounces, which is still pretty good size. But the majority of the people buy the 24 ounce, which is, in my opinion, the most popular shake sold. But it is a meal replacement because you are getting a macronutrient meal, right? So everything like I said has those main components as a typical food meal would have. The people that get the meal size, which is 32 ounces, it's a big cup. Those are the people that come in like in the mornings. They just got out of the gym. They're the executive or the police or the fire department and saying, "Yeah, Joe, I'll take the 32 ounce caramel coffee buzz. Give me 2 shots of espresso." That gives them their caffeine intake and all their nutrients for a meal size to hold them over until lunch, which is about 5 hours later. So you're allowed to choose which one you want based off of how you feel that day.
Sorry, Kris, I was going to say, can I ask one more question there? So we talked a little bit, and you kind of ventured into the competitors, and they're sort of more of a smoothie versus your shake. And so we're talking about this being potentially a meal replacement, a snack. Help us understand the difference between those two, because I don't know if I'm following. Are you the same as some of like the tropical smoothie that you mentioned?
Yeah, yes and no. So, we're considered a smoothie brand, right? But we really are a shake company. So if you, and I tell customers this because they ask me, they're like, "Oh, I was down the street at Tropical Smoothie. I just found out about you guys. I love the product. Really, like, what's the difference?" I have it printed at my store. You could go online and type in Tropical Smoothie nutritional guide. It pops out, and I'll say, "Well, which one did you have?" And they're like, "Oh, I had the chocolate banana shake with protein." I'm like, "Okay, well, let's look at that." When you look at their macronutrients, mostly every single smoothie, Tropical, Smoothie King, and Planet Smoothie offers averages 100 plus grams of sugar, 100 plus grams of carbohydrates, and they use synthetic ingredients. That's the truth. It's right there in the back of their website. The Fresh Monkey is no added sugars, natural sugar from the fruit we use, and has clean proteins and only 1 gram of sugar in it with fiber. So I kind of relate that to, someone said to me the other day, "Oh, so it's kind of like eating Chinese food." I'm like, "I love Chinese food, but 45 minutes later, I'm starving." And I'm like, "I need more food." I'm like, exactly. It's kind of like that same mentality in your brain. Um, if you actually look what they put into the competitor's product, it's pretty alarming, to be honest with you. And they actually put this added sugar, like turbinado sugar, into their products, but they don't display it on their menu. But they put it in the nutritional guide.
Wait a
So
minute, 100 grams of added sugar, so not the sugars that are coming from the fruit.
exactly, yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
yep.
Um, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I think a lot of things surprise us when we look too deep into what's in our foods. But so I want to switch gears. So just like the shakes, from what you're telling me, will make me lean and mean. Um, business wise, operationally, based on what I think I know about Fresh Monkey, that's also good, very lean and mean, from the build out to the ongoing operations, the menu, the staffing. It all seems very lean and without a lot of the headaches one can oftentimes associate with food. So, kind of walk us through what the business model is here, from what the location looks like, how it's run, who's running it, how extensive or limited is the menu. Give us a picture there.
Yeah, so average types of spaces you could put a Fresh Monkey in, so people understand, is they could go in airport style 400 square foot kiosks to your typical store is 800 to 1200 square feet. So minimal overhead. Just think of a box in your mind like 1,000 square feet, and there's a countertop within that box that's 500 square feet behind it. That's where all the magic is. That's where all your refrigeration, your freezers, your blenders, your prep top, your sinks. Outside the counter is just for your consumer, brand decor, seating if there has to be seating. Um, it's very simplistic. So in terms of build out, you need your plumbing for your sinks, and you need 2 to 3 dedicated outlets for the blenders. Other than that, it's all, you know, brand decor, right? It's the floor, it's the paint, it's the, you know, the signage. So build outs right now are typically ranging between 75 and 175, depending on if they found a former food space, right, which would benefit them, or it's a brand new build. But in terms of even a brand new build, because we're not considered a restaurant, right? We don't have any grills and hoods and friolators or anything like that. Really, everything that's visualized to the consumer is right there, and that space is the 500 square feet. So that's very easy. Um, in terms of like staffing and like how everything's staffed, you have 2 shifts per day, right? Because it's typically a 10 or a 12-hour day. You need 2 people per shift because the processes behind the counter are so simplified, like an assembly line. One person can run the register and assist with the shakes, and then the other person can do 5 to 7 shakes at any given time in a row within 5 minutes. So even waiting times, you're not waiting at like a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts for 10, 15, 20 minutes to get a coffee. This is fast, it's quick, and it's fresh, and everything is within arm's reach behind your prep bar. So it's set up very nicely.
Yeah. So if I can ask a follow up there, probably the most charged term in franchising is semi-absentee. So
Mhm.
can Fresh Monkee be owned by a franchise owner semi-absentee? And what's your definition of semi-absentee? Because it can mean different things to different franchises.
That's actually how the business was built. So Judy Flynn, our founder, is a full absentee owner. She always has been. I always thought that was funny until I actually learned that. I'm like, wow, this is a really easy setup. But myself, I opened up 2 stores. I'm like, I'm going to be full on, even though I also am a franchise broker and a franchisee. And after the 11th day, my employees looked at me and they're like, you can go home. You don't need to be here. And I'm like, yeah, but I want to be here. I wanted to be involved. But it's such a simple process as a semi-absentee. You can step back and allow your people to run it because really you can't mess anything up. Everything, we use the Toast restaurant platform, which everything rolls up to your phone or your computer, which is very easy to use. It does about 80% of all your admin work, from scheduling to ordering your food for your store, to payroll, to paying taxes, to time clock, to third-party delivery apps. It does everything for you. But I do work the business about 5 to 8 hours a week. I like going in and greeting customers and talking to them and networking the business. But so what we've realized is that the franchisees that are on board so far, I'd say 80% of them are semi-absentee. They have full-time jobs and they get their benefits from there, and they use the monkey as the passive income. The other 30% are owner operators. That's not a bad thing though, right? Because you get your eyes on the prize every day, and you could pay yourself the manager's salary for whatever that might be.
So, Joe, who's sort of the ideal candidate? What are you looking for in a potential franchisee? And then, if they're there full time, what are they looking like? What's their day to day? What are they doing?
Yeah, so it's pretty easy. The ideal, I wouldn't say there's an ideal candidate because we've onboarded so many people, from ex-NFL football players to Hollywood personalities to just like my wife and I, we're just regular people, right? Um, I would say definitely the people that you want to come on board, you have to have some type of business acumen, but also have a personality, right? You want to be hiring people that can talk and can give great customer service. Whether you're going to be an owner operator or semi-absentee, you're going to make sure that person on the front line, because you guys know you're really buying the people behind the brand. The shake sells itself, but if you get bad customer service, you might not come back. Um, so that's what I would say. The people that you're looking to bring on board. In terms of your day to day, you open the store within 3 minutes. It's a 3-minute opening procedure. It's super easy because your nighttime close is about 30 minutes. So as long as your nighttime person did their job, you come in, flip the open sign on, fill up your sinks, and you're ready to take an order right away. And typically, at least in my stores, you walk in at 6:45 because we open up at 7. There's already a DoorDash ticket right on the terminal, printed out, that he's picking up at 7:05. Right, and that's either the the mother or the school nurse or the police officer that's waiting for their shake because they got to get right to work.
So, Joe, what's marketing look like? Because, I heard the story of, the first Fresh Monkee, and there was a line out the door and around the block after 4 days. But probably not everybody can just count on that. So what do you do as a franchisee? How do you get the word out there, especially in the beginning? Talk us through the first few months of how you let the community know, here we are.
Yeah, so during build out, obviously I had like banners in the window, Fresh Monkee coming soon. Nobody knew Fresh Monkee in Rhode Island because the brand's based out of Connecticut. I had a QR code, what the brand stood for, like fresh ingredients, wholesome nutrition. So I started to get a lot of questions, and I was answering a lot of people just off of our Facebook, because when you're in build out, you want to build, obviously we do that, but we build out your Facebook, your Instagram, and your Google page, right? So every time there was something new in the store that was happening, like the counter just got built or the paint went in, I would just put out new photos, and then I got a lot more interaction. Now, what I did is leading up to our opening, I put out a Facebook post. I boosted it, right? And I said, grand open. I actually didn't do a grand opening. I did an open house, right? Free shakes. I did the bite-sized shakes. Anybody who came in. And I figured maybe I'd have like 60, 80 people. Well, alarmingly, thank God I was prepared for it. We had 375 people the first day on a Saturday. I couldn't even believe it. Thank God I had the entire staff there, myself, my wife, right? It was crazy. But what I realized is that that is the best marketing you can do with our brand, because this product is flawless. It tastes like it sounds. It's good for you. It's quick. It's not expensive. And it's very eye-opening when you're watching a customer take the sip of the for instance, the Crave, which has vanilla protein, almond milk, macro greens with 2 full cups of blueberries. Super good for you, but super tasty. Like, wow, this tastes amazing. Or the caramel coffee buzz with espresso. They're like, oh my God, this is exactly what I wanted. I'm coming back and I'm going to check off what shake I want next. So I walk around with buy one get one coupons in my pocket, in my wife's pocketbook, in our car, and I'm constantly giving those out. So marketing is just brand awareness. Like I'm telling you, I still have the same people coming in from a year ago, because we're hitting our year anniversary, that I did on the first day. They still come in almost every day. So, in my opinion, we got out to all the colleges, where the police and the fire departments, schools, banks, just your local community. If you could be on or around near a health club, that obviously helps. But this product is marketed to the masses. We have people that are 80 years old that are fighting terminally ill diseases, that they need to drink their nutrients. So they come into the Fresh Monkee because it's super good for them. And we have the kids come in after high school, to the young professionals, to your average adult. So the marketing is not hard, believe it or not. I just do Facebook and Instagram, and just my organic searches off of Google. But getting the word out there to your community that you're open, and you could hold like small events, is super important, and it's super easy.
So does that location matter, Joe? That was one question I had, and you kind of just hit on that a little bit. Like, do you want to be next to a health club? Do you want to be in a urban city where people are on the go and they want to just grab and go because they're heading to work? Or can you be in a small town?
Yeah, so all of the above. So obviously, I come from the health and fitness industry, owning health clubs back in my day. If you could be on or around near a health club, well, yeah, that's obviously highly beneficial because it's a captive audience. What I would say is my first location is in Smithville, Rhode Island, super tiny town, right? We opened up down the street from the high school. I'm around the corner from a Planet Fitness, but it's a very small, homey town. And the store does good, right? But what I quickly realized after 3 months, I said to my wife, I said, I know where we're putting our second store. We're going to go down by the beaches, right near the college, high population during the tourism season. And that store from the first day was doing 30 to 40% more every single day than my first store. So yes, you want to go where there's dense population, whether it's in the city. But don't get me wrong, a lot of these towns have, 75,000, 80,000 people, near colleges, high schools, medical centers, but also follow the national tendencies that are around the country, the Chipotle, Starbucks, the Target and Walmart World Supercenters, all those types of brands, you're kind of going on or around any of those.
What about sort of pop-ups, like, I don't know, kiosks, food trucks, farmers markets? Is there an option for that in addition to the store?
Yes. So you can do pop-ups anywhere you want. We actually just did two of them at college basketball games because we have nationally ranked college teams near our stores. And we promote with them. That's a huge kickoff because you're getting 5,000 fans and you're not doing samples, believe it or not. You're just doing like buy one, get ones. And you're doing, for instance, University of Rhode Island, they're D1, they're number one in their division. They do the monkey flex off cam. So everyone flexes in their row and everyone's getting excited. And the best person who flexes gets a gift card, but the row actually wins the whole gift card. So just more fan interactions. The mobile version is actually in the FDD. Our founder did have a mobile version. She closed it right before COVID or right when COVID was coming up. But I'm already planning to do one of those in 2026 because you could have a Monkey Express van and not offer 27, 30 shakes. You don't need that. You could do 8 of the top shakes and hit all the markets and the fairs and anywhere where you can get a permit to drive those around. So that's definitely an option. But in my opinion, you'd need a brick and mortar to support that option because your van is going to be extremely busy.
Got it. And you
Right.
want them to have sort of the full experience in the store. The van is sort of a mini experience.
Correct.
That's great.
Well, Joe, if you don't mind, we're going to change tacks here a little bit. And before we wrap up, we always like to ask our guests 2 what we call rapid fire questions. So
Yep.
we're not asking specifically about Fresh Monkee. We're asking through the lens of, hey, you're a franchisee and you are a business owner. And so the first question would be, what's one piece of advice you'd give somebody who's seriously considering buying a franchise and jumping into business ownership for the first time?
Great question. I would say definitely do your due diligence to make sure you actually want to own a business, right? Because most people are in corporate America, I think. I'd also say due diligence, do due diligence on the brand and call other franchisees about their experience. Especially with an emerging brand like ourselves. We're doing extremely well. We're selling them all over the country, but there's a reason for that. So instead of people talking to like maybe a broker, we can give them 2 to 3 of the franchises in various areas of the country, and they can get their experience.
Excellent. So, and I know you know what we're talking about here. What do you tell the franchisee who's in their first year of business? You know what that first year is like, right? Any piece of advice you'd give them when they're in the thick of it?
Advice. I'm not sure what I'm giving them advice on, but I know what you're saying. I'd say advice within your first year or like after your first year. I'm like, yeah, I would just say to that franchisee, like, take a deep breath. You made it past your first year. You're making money from day one. Let's be honest. Like you're selling product from day one, so it's not like you're not getting any sales. The smoothie shake business, I think, is a $9 or $14 billion business every year. So I would say keep grinding, but also keep networking. Because again, we're a big community brand and people want to know that you have a product you can be proud of because you're serving a clean product to the community, to the kids, to the adults. At least that's what that's what we pride. That's what we wear on our shirts. And that's why the name of the brand is Fresh, the Fresh Monkee. You're coming in to get fresh ingredients. So as long as you display that and you own that, you're not going to have any issues.
That's great. Well, thanks, Joe. We appreciate you coming on today. I think, for us, when we think about food, like a lot of our clients come in and that's all they know in the franchise space. And they obviously know sort of these fast foods that aren't as good for you. And they're more challenging businesses. And so having a brand on that's simple, healthy, easy to get up and running and a smaller square footage. I think those are all sort of some of the benefits that we hear. And then just hearing the difference between your product versus these smoothies that are out there. it's very different. It's a different appeal, a different audience. And so we really appreciate you kind of coming on to go through that and tell us a little bit of the backstory on Fresh Monkee. And so thanks so much. And so for those of you, if you're thinking about franchising, remember that while there's no one size fits all, there's the perfect franchise definitely out there for you. To explore your options, visit theperfectfranchise.com and click on Let's Talk to schedule a call with a consultant on the Perfect Franchise team. We look forward to connecting with you again on the next episode.